you're so sad? You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome back. The National Racing Network, proud to be bringing you live coverage of the Grand Prix Legends Series here on the iRacing platform after a one-week hiatus, quite frankly, due to me not being around. We're back. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us here this afternoon as we get ready for, quite frankly, what promises to be a pretty darn good race here for these cars. The Lotus 49s and was it WeatherTech Raceway, some other name? I believe it's still WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This place is just absolutely epic. I cannot wait to see these cars barrel down towards the Andretti hairpin. Heading into this race, Togo Hisada leading the point standings overall with 523 markers. Ovi Trengerid running in the second position overall. Jorge Nieva, Gary Ho, and Benjamin Zocco rounding out the top five. Sebastian Tixier in the sixth position. Bill Tyler, Matt Maudsley, John Olson, Laust Olson rounding out the top 10. Mick Claridge back running in the series. Unfortunately, his around-the-world bicycle adventures, well, coming to an early conclusion here. And in fact, let's see if we can't pick up Mr. Claridge here as he's going to head out on to the course for qualifications. So unfortunately, we had some interwebs issues over the last week or so that quite frankly blew up everything we had here at the National Racing Network. So in the process of rebuilding the vintage looking graphics package, we're going to have some new stuff that we'll be able to show you here in the near future as well. Let's take a look, see who else we want to take a look at here during qualifying. As we mentioned, Mick Claridge out on the speedway. Quite frankly, everybody is on the racetrack right now. 15 cars entered for this kind of second biggest SOF of the week, or one of the bigger SOFs. The big one you'll be able to see tomorrow morning on GSRC. Make sure you check that one out if you're watching on the YouTube side of things. Let's get a look at Antti Lepisto. He is also on the speedway. We'll bring up the side-by-side box here. Lepisto, God, I love it catching air over that just little hump at what is turn one. Through the Andretti hairpin as Claridge runs up the hill to one of the most difficult corners, I think, in racing. It is so easy to get this wrong. And then you got to carry a ton of speed up the hill, and then the big dive off down into the corkscrew. So easy to get an off track there and invalidate your qualifying lap. Lap number one in the books for Mick Claridge, and he will be quick time, 1 minute 23.158. Now, obviously, the only car that's turned a lap this far, so of course he's going to be quick time. Jerry Lee Sweetland was second. He's going to very quickly drop down to fourth as Itzhak Vrecko moving up to the second position. Now Gary Ho moving up to position number two. He's going to be about 0.8 of a second back of Claridge. Only 58,000 separating Ho and Vrecko at the conclusion of lap number one. Oh, and there's Gary Ho. Looks like coming to a stop. As Jorge Nieva now going to move up to position number two. Still about 0.7 of a second back of Claridge. Mick absolutely flying around this place right now. Mick Claridge again going fastest lap. Let's pick up Isaac Vrecko. Well, he's going to be finishing his lap as well. We'll pick up the 7 of Jeff Saunders, already making his way down the hill. Mick Claridge, that second lap, an absolute monster. 1 minute 22.584. Let's take a look here. I think that's going to be just about everybody finishing up their qualification laps here. So following along on the second screen with the 5 of Jorge Nieva, but he has completed his run. Gary Ho, let's take a look. Yeah, Gary Ho is no longer on the racetrack. Nobody left to qualify here. See if Cody Anderson is on the racetrack, but no, there he is sitting at the end of pit road. He will be done. So lineup will be set here with 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining in the qualifying session. Impressive run for Mick Claridge, 0.8 of a second ahead of Jorge Nieva. However, that is no guarantee of what we're going to see in the race here. That's a big part of this. That's a little bit better look on the graphics there, so at least you'll be able to see the car numbers and who everybody is attached to. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in on YouTube and on Twitch. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here in the afternoon. With that, qualifications are completed. Time for everybody to get these cars gridded up. They will make the swap over to their race trim setups. Coming up in about 45 minutes or so will be the Lotus 79 Series. These guys coming to you from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Field is getting ready to roll off here. Let's take a look at your starting grid for tonight's race. Well, this afternoon's race, I guess. On the front row will be Mick Claridge. Lap time of 1 minute 22.584. Jorge Nieva on the outside of row 1. Ante Lepisto, Laust Olsen on row 2. Itzhak Freco, Gary Ho on row number 3. Row 4 will have Matthew Maudsley and Jeff Saunders. Jerry Lee Sweet and Nino Solner on row 5. Row 6, Terry Worth, Jan Steffen. Starting to hear some revs come up, but we're still waiting on a couple of cars anyway to get out here on the grid. Row number 6 will have Terry Worth and Jan Steffen. Row 7, Brian Peterson and Steve Morris. And rounding out the field all alone on row number 8 will be the 15 of Cody Anderson. Still waiting on 4th place Laust Olsen, 9th place Jerry Lee Sweetland to get out onto the grid. Lights are getting ready to come on. Revs will come up. Raise in the air. We're underway here at Laguna Seca. Great start as this field's going to barrel down towards the Andretti hairpin. Big move up the inside. That's going to be 5th place Itzhak Freco trying to make a move as Mick Claridge is already gone. Second gap over your race leaders here. Claridge, Lepisto, Nieva, Olsen, and Freco, the top 5, 6 through 10, will be Gary Ho, Matt Maudsley, Jeff Saunders, Terry Worth, and Jerry Lee Sweetland completing that top 10. 25 laps the distance, first time down through the corkscrew. I am just amazed that these cars do not absolutely want to take flight coming down the corkscrew and get crazy loose. Maybe a little bit of trouble on the racetrack for Brian Peterson towards the back of the pack. That car got a little bit squirrely towards the back. We'll hold on to this battle. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th That's Lepisto, Nieva, Olsen, Vreco. And we'll bring up the side-by-side here. Keep an eye on race leader Mick Claridge as well. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the show here. Give us a shout. We can get your comments up on the air as well. So one of those things we like to do. We'd like to try to talk to you guys. Be as interactive as we can. Taking a look at the timing and scoring windows. Good fight here. That's Nino Solner and Steve Morris getting around Jan Steffen. Steffen having a little bit of an off track. Going to drop him back to the 13th position. Oh, one run wide out of the final quarter for Laust Olsen. He's going to lose 2 spots to Vreco and Ho. Drop him down to the 6th position as Mick Claridge again goes fastest lap of the race. Little bit of a lockup from Vreco. He's going to fight back tough on the outside, though. That is such a nasty little switchback to get yourself set up here for turn 3. Yeah, there you go. Vreco going to run wide. He's going to lose 1 spot, maybe 2. Laust Olsen not quite close enough to capitalize. Going to be interesting to watch how this race develops, because obviously Mick Claridge, he's long gone. However, what does everybody else do here? Lepisto, Nieva, Ho, Vreco, they're all lined up pretty much nose to tail. In fact, even back through 8th place, Jeff Saunders are pretty much nose to tail, maybe even kind of 9th place, Terry Worth. As Claridge sets another fastest lap of the race, down to 1:22.9. How much tire saving do you have to do here at Laguna Seca? I would think there's a bunch, only because of the way these cars want to slide around, and a 25-lap race is not exactly short for these cars around here either. Should be looking at right about a 40-minute race or so. Still see timing and scoring telling us about 29 minutes left in this one. Olsen thought about having to move. Oh, but Vreco's going to slide wide at the corkscrew. Olsen around the outside. That's tough to make. When that incident happens towards the top of the corkscrew, not only do you have to navigate a fairly difficult chicane, way downhill chicane, it also compromises your setup into rainy curve. Turn 9 is not the easiest in these cars. Battle for second between Lepisto and Nieva starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Those two cars separated by only half a second. We'll pick up the second battle here and get them both up on the side-by-side for you. And Mick Claridge just continuing to do absolutely outstanding things. Gary Ho, Laust Olsen, Itzhak Vreko, excuse me, all running about a second faster than their best pace for a race lap. That looks, let's see. I think the best fight we're going to have on the racetrack right now is going to be between Vreko and Matt Maudsley. Those two separated by about a half a second. 0.4 of a second back will be Jeff Saunders. A little behind these guys as well is going to be Terry Worth and Jerry Lee Sweetland. This is the fight for 9th and 10th. Cody Anderson already listed as out of the race after spending about 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the pit lane. Brian Peterson being scored 1 lap behind the race leader. We already mentioned the Lotus 79 is coming up next from Road America. Following that to later on tonight, 9 p.m. in the East, it will be the U.S. Open Wheel Championship C-Class race for the Indy Pro 2000. Cars will be first up at 9, followed by the USF 2000 race at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Back to the battle between Olsen, Vreko, and Maudsley. These guys all within about a half second or so of each other. It is 4 seconds between Mick Claridge and Antti Lepisto. Then another 6/10, 7/10 back to Jorge Nieva running in the 3rd position. Steve Morris, your hard charger of the race, up 3 positions from where he started this thing. Gary Ho, Terry Worth, both up a couple of positions, and Antti Lepisto up 1. Those will be your hard chargers here as we work lap number 7 of 25. Trouble for Jan Steffen on the racetrack. Looks like he may have had an off-track excursion here. Let's get you a Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. See if we can see what happened to Steffen. Oh yeah, got way wide at the kink. That's not how you want to do things getting up the hill. May have had an additional incident here getting up to the corkscrew as well. Tough to get the tires cleaned off. Well, Steffen able to get through the corkscrew cleanly, but did lose a bunch of time in the process. So we'll go back here to Laust Olsen, Itzhak Vreko, and Matt Maudsley. Jeff Saunders about 2.5 seconds back of Maudsley, but he could stand to capitalize should somebody else have an issue out here on the course. Seeing John Olsen checking in on Discord saying Mick Claridge stinking up the show big time. Yeah, I agree with you there, John. Impressive what Mick Claridge is doing, quite frankly. Again going fastest lap, and he shaved 0.2 off that time, down to a 1:22.7. Everybody, last lap for Mick Claridge, 1:22.782. Last lap for second place, Antti Lepisto, 1:23.809. Claridge a full second faster than the rest of the field. In fact, he's almost 2 seconds a lap faster than this battle that we're watching now between Vrecko and Maudsley. Let's move up to the fight here for the second position, because that's starting to heat up a little bit. Kind of sliding back and forth between 3.5 tenths to 5.5 tenths between Lepisto and Nieva. This is one of those where you just can't make the mistake. Love to watch those cars just absolutely plant themselves. Coming down out of the corkscrew, you really can see the amount of suspension travel in these things. Again, new fastest lap, Mick Claridge, 1:22.651. Oh my goodness. It's just an absolute beating. We're not even to the halfway point, and the gap is out to 6.2 seconds. It could be approaching 10 by the time we get to the halfway point. Giving me flashbacks to what Greg Seitz used to do to the Indy Pro 2000 fields. Just absolutely has another gear. I have to say, though, I am excited to see this race tomorrow morning on GSRC when we have the full field of these guys here. Togo Hasada has 7 starts this season, 4 wins, 6 top 5s, and 6 poles in those 7 starts. Cleanest driver of the lot thus far, at least within the top 10. Jorge Nieva, only 7 incidents. Already sitting about 70 points back, though, of Hasada for the overall championship lead. Gary Ho, the only driver to have scored 4 weeks at this point in the season, and doing it in big numbers. 42 starts, 17 wins, 29 top 5s, and 27 poles. Say, oh man, that's a whole lot going on. John Olson sending us pictures of voodoo dolls, attaching them to Mick Claridge. That's hilarious. I did not put that voodoo on you, Ricky Bobby. This battle opening up, well, see, it opens up to about 8 tenths, and then Jorge Nieva really makes up a ton of time coming up the hill. But let's slide back a little here to the other fight we have going on. Actually, 2 battles going on right now on the racetrack. Itzhak Vrecko running about a half a second back of Laust Olsen. Steve Morris, Jerry Lee Sweetland, side by side through the corkscrew. Oh, that's not smart. Wow. Fantastic battle there, though. I would not expect the Lotus 49 to be the cars that you would try to take side by side through the corkscrew. Show you the battle here between Laust Olsen and Matt Maudsley. This one's sitting right about 3.5 tenths. About a second and a half up the road is going to be Itzhak Vrecko. Maudsley making up a ton of time this lap. Oh, maybe a little bit of a cut. We'll see if that results in a slowdown for Laust Olsen. It might. because that car really dropping off the pace through Rainy Curve. As Mick Claridge again goes fastest lap, 1:22.5. Oh my goodness. 8.9 seconds as he took the cross flags halfway home here from Laguna Seca. And a reminder, don't go anywhere. Coming up next, it will be the Lotus 79s from Road America. Another iconic car on an iconic racetrack. I'm fixing to enjoy that show as much as these Lotus 49s. These things are just so incredibly difficult to drive. Let's take a look here and go, let's give you a side-by-side look and go on board with Matt Maudsley. Oh, so much counter steer. One of the things I love about these cars, so much off throttle time, is Mick Claridge is now down into the 1:22.4s. Get you the gyro cam look from overhead here. You'll see this car want to just absolutely pitch around. Let's continue on for the lap here as they head up the hill, and we'll get you the look down the corkscrew. Downshift through the kink, grab a couple of gears on your way up to the top of the hill. Oh, you can see, you're just driving off into absolutely nothing. The world just disappears on you as you get up there towards the top of the hill. And then down through the corkscrew through Rainy Corner. Move up to the battle for second, Lapisto versus Nieva. Give you the sector times as they make their way around here. You'll see where everybody's gaining time. Nieva about a 10th quicker through sector 1. Great pickup there by Nieva through the kink. 0.3 faster that time through sector 2. He is going to be right there exiting the kink. And not a lot of aero to have to worry about on these things either. We'll bring up your race leader, Mick Claridge, here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Get you a look at the number 2, who is absolutely dominating this race. 11.8 seconds separating Claridge from the battle that we're watching here on the big box, Lapisto and Nieva. Another decent battle, a little bit deeper in the pack here is going to be Sweetland and Steve Morris. Just up ahead of Sweetland is going to be the number 11 of Terry Worth. This is 9th, 10th, and 11th that we're watching here on the big box. Laust Olsen gaining ever so slightly on Iztok Vreco. Still sitting about 7/10 apart, though, in that fight for the 5th position. Battle for second is back to within 3/10. Let's take a look here at Lapisto versus Nieva. I'll tell you what, Lapisto is so good from the corkscrew on down. It's impressive to watch how quickly he's able to get the power back down. This big Claridge puts another lap on the board, working lap number 18 of 25. Lead now up over 10 seconds between Claridge and Lapisto. Claridge slicing and dicing his way through traffic. Quite frankly, that's part of the reason that Claridge is able to be so much quicker. With second and third having to worry about each other and the additional lap traffic. Nieva gonna be right there. Man, he gets so close into the corkscrew and just gives it all back through Rainy Curve. Down to 7 laps to go. Still Claridge, Lapisto, Nieva, Ho, and Vreco. Your top 5, 6 through 10 will be Laust Olsen, Matthew Maudsley, Jeff Saunders, Terry Worth, and Jerry Lee Sweetland. Give a shout to Brian Peterson. Just piles of off tracks and possibly moving a little bit slowly on the racetrack. But Peterson thus far, even being scored 3 laps down to your race leader, hanging in there. Nieva again right there into the corkscrew. So much power down for Lapisto, though. Mick Claridge already about to make the entry into the Andretti hairpin. As second place, Ante Lapisto is out on the front straightaway. really not much else. One other battle on the racetrack. That's going to be this fight between Vreco and Olsen, sitting right about 0.3 of a second back. The old adage of it's one thing to catch somebody, passing them is something entirely different. That's not as aero dependent in these cars, but you're still talking about some really talented people. Ante Lepisto, 61.41 iRating. That is ridiculous. Brian Peterson on pit lane. Steve Morris may have had an issue on the circuit. Let's take a look and see if we can see what happened here to Steve Morris. Keep your eye on that green and yellow number 9. Oh, huge hit into the 14 of Brian Peterson, just parked on the outside of the racetrack. That's going to require a tow for Morris. My goodness, that's not the spot you want your car to give up the goose, that's for sure. So now down to 5 laps to go. The beatdown by Mick Claridge continues. The gap almost at 12 seconds now. Mick Claridge in turn 10 all the way down at the bottom of the hill. As second place, Ante Lepisto starts to make his way through the corkscrew. You almost have to wonder if Nieva isn't thinking, is the pass attempt even worth it? Third place points is a pretty solid number here in a decent SOF race. It's impressive to watch Nieva close the gap in on Lepisto. I mean, he gets right there by the top of the corkscrew. Almost like Lepisto giving up a little bit of time through the kink. They'll be separated by a car length and a half as they start to make their way down the hill. By the time they're out of Rainy Corner, that could be as many as 4 or 5 car lengths. Yeah, that's what we're seeing again. Nieva a little bit better of a run that time through Rainy. Kind of disappointed at Mick Claridge. He just does not want to play with anybody. Hanging out there doing his own thing. That man is long gone. We'll get him up in the lower right-hand corner. This fight for second is the closest battle on the racetrack right now. 4/10 between Vreco and Olsen. 5/10 between Worth and Sweetland. These guys sitting right about 4/10 of a second as well. Oh, let's see. Let's slide up here and pick up Vreco and Olsen, because they're now down to about 2 car lengths through turn 5. Move back, pick up the battle between Worth and Sweetland. This fight's still sitting at about a quarter of a second or so. Sweetland, good run that time out of Rainey. Not going to make a move to turn number 10. I don't even think he's going to be close enough to try it here into the 90-degree left-hander. Moving ahead, pick up Vreco and Olsen. As the battle for second has opened up to about 6:10, same as what we're seeing here. Let's move up back to that fight for the second position. White flag is out. 1 lap to go for Mick Claridge. Seconds is the gap. Back to second place, Ante Lapisto. And the gap between Lapisto and Nieva, well, it was about 7 tenths. Now it's down to 4. Through the final corner, twin checkers will go in the air. And Mick Claridge gets the win at Laguna Seca in a dominating performance. Ante Lapisto going to be able to hold on off the final corner. Under the checkers, Lapisto comes home second. Nieva in the third position. And Claridge already out of the race car, and he gone. Istok Vreco coming across the line just ahead of Laust Olsen. There's Matt Maudsley. He's over the line and good. Jeff Saunders, nobody near him in contention. And now the gap up to 2 and change seconds for Terry Worth over Jerry Lee Sweetland. These will be the last 2 cars to come across the start-finish line. And that will put a wrap on the Grand Prix Legends Series from Laguna Seca. Let's take a look at your race results. Claridge, Lapisto, and Nieva, your top 3. Ho and Vreco complete the top 5. 6 through 10, Olsen, Maudsley, Saunders, Worth, and Sweetland. Heading over to page number 2, it'll be Nino Solner, Jan Steffen, Steve Morris, Brian Peterson, and Cody Anderson. Race that did not take long at all to get through. Pretty darn good show here by the stars and cars of the Lotus 49 series. Taking a look ahead at the schedule for these guys and gals. It will be the Circuito de Jerez coming up 1 week from today, followed by Oval Week, week number 6. We're heading off to Phoenix. In fact, they're heading to Phoenix for a 70-lap race. followed by Sebring, Okayama, Imola, Alton Park, Donington, and Spa to round out this season just during your Memorial Day holiday weekend. But with that, we're going to get out of here, go get ready for the Lotus 79s. Good show. Congratulations, Mick Claridge. I don't see anybody popping in for interviews, so we'll get ourselves ready to head on out of here. For everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We will talk to you all in just a few minutes from Road America.